Welcome back, everybody. Today's deep dive is all about something I know we're all trying to figure out. How do we find time for deep work? That focused work in a world that just keeps throwing distractions at us left and right. And what role can AI play in all of this? Like, can it actually help us get that mental space?
It really is a fascinating paradox when you think about it, technology. We often think of it as like the enemy of focus, right?
Yeah.
But what if it could actually help us, actually become our ally and getting that deep work done?
And that is exactly what we are going to explore today.
I'm excited.
We've got two sources to help guide us. One is a recent article about a company called Aquan. It's from the world of fintech, which we're both really interested in.
Sure.
And the second is a more general piece about where AI and deep work kind of come together. What do you think?
Yeah, Aquan's approach seems really interesting to me. I was reading through the material before this. They're working with a very specific kind of deep work. The kind that financial analysts and investors do all day.
Right. It's a high-stakes world.
Yeah, exactly. And these are the professionals who really need to be on top of their game, synthesizing tons of information, making complex decisions. And they always have to be ahead of the curve, on those market trends.
And this isn't just some tiny startup trying to, make a name for themselves. They just got $4.5 million in seed funding from some pretty big names.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
And they're already working with a quarter of the world's top 20 asset management firms.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, clearly their approach is working for people who are like right there on the front lines of this world.
Definitely.
And what's really fascinating to me is that they're essentially automating the deep work of finance, which you think about how difficult that is to do.
Okay, hold on. I need a definition here. We keep saying deep work, but what does that actually mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot. So deep work is really about focusing without distraction on a task that is, cognitively demanding. Like, it really makes you think.
Yeah.
So you've got to block out the noise, silence those notifications, and really, really immerse yourself in the work. The work that requires, like, your full brain power.
So not just checking things off your to-do list, but those times when you're, like, really pushing yourself mentally.
Exactly.
Interesting. And Aquan is claiming that AI can help with that.
That's what they're saying. They're using some pretty high-tech AI techniques to make it happen, including something called AI agent architecture. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
And a method known as retrieval augmented generation, or RAG.
Okay, so both of those sound pretty technical to me. Can you explain those to us in a way that even someone who's not like a computer scientist can understand?
Absolutely. So imagine you're a financial analyst and you're trying to understand how a particular company is performing. So you've got to read through tons and tons of reports, news articles, financial statements. It's a lot.
Talk about information overload.
Exactly. And even if you do manage to get through all of it, you still have to synthesize it and draw your own conclusions.
Right.
So that's where Aggo comes in. Think of it as having a research assistant who has access to this huge digital library that can pull up the most relevant information in like a second. So instead of spending hours and hours sifting through mountains of data, an analyst can ask this AI system specific questions and get really targeted insights.
So it's not just automating simple tasks. It's about helping the experts access and process information more efficiently.
Right.
So then they can focus on that higher level analysis and decision-making that humans are good at.
Yeah, and that is a key point. It's about augmenting human intelligence, not replacing it.
I really like how the article quoted Swaroop Kaluri, who's the founder of one of the firms that invested in Aquan. He said their technology gives firms a competitive edge because it helps professionals focus on more strategic, meaningful work.
Makes sense. So it's not about taking humans out of the loop, but giving them better tools to do their best work.
Right.
So Aquan is doing this in the financial world. But what about the rest of us? Are there broader applications of AI for deep work that can help people in other fields?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's where our second source comes in. It's the one that looks at the bigger picture of AI and deep work. And one of the key challenges it highlights is this, we're all struggling to find time for deep work in this always-on culture.
Oh, tell me about it. I feel that every single day. It's like we're constantly bombarded by distractions, notifications, the pressure to be productive,
Yeah.
Even if it just means like mindlessly checking things off a list. So how can AI help us break out of that cycle, to carve out time for that deep work? Well, that's where things get really, really interesting. What if instead of adding to all that noise, AI could actually help us silence it? Imagine a world where your inbox manages itself,
Oh, wow.
prioritizes, the really urgent messages and filters out all that noise.
Okay.
Or where scheduling meetings is as easy as just telling your AI assistant you know what you need.
Right.
And it just handles it all the back and forth. That's the
Yeah.
kind of potential we're talking about.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light here, but let's get specific.
Yeah.
What are some concrete examples of how AI can help us achieve this deep work
Okay.
beyond just managing our inboxes?
So one area I think where AI can make a huge difference is in knowledge management.
Okay.
So imagine having an AI assistant that can read and synthesize, huge amounts of information,
Right.
and then pull out the key insights and present them to you
Yeah.
in a way that's, concise and digestible.
Okay.
I mean, that's a game changer for anyone who has to wade through research papers or industry reports.
Right. Or even just a ton of emails.
Exactly, just to get to the information they need.
It's like having a personal research librarian.
Yes.
Who's always on call,
Always on call.
ready to summarize the latest findings on any topic.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just summarizing information. AI can also help us connect the dots,
Okay.
identify patterns, and even generate creative ideas.
Oh, wow.
There are AI tools out there that can help you brainstorm solutions to problems,
Really?
write different kinds of creative content, even compose music.
Wait, AI can compose music?
Yeah.
That's blowing my mind a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
But it makes sense if it can analyze patterns in data. I guess it can probably find patterns in melody and rhythm, too.
Exactly.
But let's get back to deep work.
Okay.
I'm curious how AI can help us not just find time for deep work, but actually enhance the quality of our focus during those sessions.
Right.
When we're in those deep work sessions.
Yeah, there's some really exciting research happening in this area. For example, there are AI tools that can actually monitor your brain activity and give you feedback on your level of focus and attention.
Really?
Yeah. So imagine getting real-time alerts when your mind starts to wander,
Okay.
or suggestions for how to improve your concentration.
It's like having a personal mindfulness coach
Yes, exactly.
who can nudge you back to the present moment when you start to drift off.
Right.
I can see how that would be incredibly valuable, especially for those tasks that require just sustained focus.
Yes. And there's another really fascinating concept called predictive analytics
Okay.
that could play a big role in depth work too.
Predictive analytics, that sounds kind of futuristic.
It is a little bit.
What is that?
So it's the ability of AI to analyze data and then make predictions about future trends and behaviors.
Okay.
So in the context of deep work, imagine an AI system that learns your work patterns
Right.
and predicts when you're most likely to be in a flow state.
Okay.
Those magical moments of peak productivity and creativity?
Oh, yeah, when it's just effortless.
Exactly.
So it's like having a personal productivity guru
Yes.
who can tell you, hey, based on your past patterns, you're most likely to hit your flow state between 10 and noon tomorrow.
Right.
Block that time off for your most challenging work.
That's the power of predictive analytics. It can help us not only schedule deep work,
Wow.
but also optimize our environment and our routines
Right.
to maximize our chances of getting into that flow state.
It's like AI is taking all the guesswork out of productivity.
In a way, yes, but it's important to remember that AI is not a magic bullet.
Right.
It's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Right.
The real power comes from understanding how to use it effectively and ethically.
That's a crucial point. We can't just blindly adopt AI without thinking about, the potential consequences.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do we ensure that we're using it in a way that enhances our humanity
Right.
rather than, diminishes it?
I think it starts with a shift in mindset. We need to see AI not as a replacement for human intelligence, but as a complement to it.
Okay.
It's about finding ways to collaborate with AI to leverage its strengths while also recognizing, its limitations.
So it's not humans versus AI.
Right.
It's humans plus AI.
Exactly. And recognizing that while AI can automate certain tasks and enhance our capabilities,
Right.
there are certain things that will always require human judgment, creativity, and empathy.
Those are the skills that set us apart,
Yes,
that make us irreplaceable.
for sure.
And I think it's important to emphasize that this isn't just about individual workers.
Right.
Companies also have a responsibility to create a culture
Yeah.
where AI is used to empower employees, not to replace them.
100%. I agree. It's about fostering a culture of lifelong learning,
Right.
where people are encouraged to embrace new technologies and constantly evolve their skill sets.
Yeah.
It's about seeing AI as an opportunity for growth and innovation rather than a threat.
And using AI to create more meaningful work.
Yes.
Not just more work. Work that allows us to tap into our unique talents to solve those complex problems.
Right.
And to make a positive impact on the world.
That's a great point. The goal isn't just to be more productive, it's to be more impactful.
Right.
To use our time and energy on things that truly matter.
So we've talked about, all these potential benefits of AI for deep work.
Yeah.
But I think it's also important to acknowledge the potential challenges.
Yes.
What are some of the things we need to be mindful of as we, start integrating AI into our workflows? One thing that I keep thinking about is this idea of control, or maybe the fear of losing it. If we're relying on AI to manage our inboxes and our schedules, even our deep work time, does that mean that we're giving up some of our autonomy?
That's a really good question. And I think it gets at the core of our relationship with technology in general.
Yeah.
The key is to remember that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used in ways that empower us or in ways that constrain us. It all depends on how we choose to use it, how we wield it.
So being intentional about it, setting those boundaries.
Yes, exactly.
Like we need to decide what we want AI to handle and what we want to keep control over.
Right. It's about finding that balance. We can let AI handle certain tasks so we have more time and energy, but we don't want to become so reliant on it that we lose our own, decision-making abilities.
Right. I'm thinking of that saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
Yeah.
It seems kind of similar here. We don't want AI to just give us the answers. We want it to help us learn and grow and become even more capable ourselves.
I love that analogy. It's about using AI to enhance our own skills and knowledge, not to replace them. And it's about always questioning, experimenting, adapting. The AI world changes so fast.
Right. What's cutting edge today is obsolete tomorrow.
Exactly.
So a mindset of lifelong learning is essential. But it's not just about us as individuals learning, is it? It feels like we need like a societal shift in how we think about work, education, and even leisure in an AI-powered world.
I think so, too. We need to rethink how we educate people to give them the skills they need to thrive. In this world where AI is becoming a part of everyday life, we need to rethink things like our social safety nets to support those people whose jobs might be displaced because of automation. And I think we need to have open and honest conversations about the ethics of AI. And how do we make sure that it's used for good?
Those are big questions.
Yeah.
But it feels like we're only just starting to think about these things.
Right.
There's so much to explore, so much potential, so much uncertainty.
And that's what makes it all so exciting. We're really at the beginning of a huge technological revolution, and we get to shape how it unfolds. It's a time to be cautious and optimistic, to think carefully, but also be bold and experiment.
So for our listeners who are ready to kind of dive into this world of AI-powered deep work, where should they start? What's one piece of advice you would give them?
I would say start by thinking about what your biggest pain points are when it comes to deep work. What are those tasks that drain you, that distract you, that keep you from doing your best? And once you've figured that out, start exploring the AI tools that are out there. There are so many amazing apps and platforms, and new ones are coming out all the time. Don't be afraid to experiment and see what works for you.
And it's a journey, not a destination. There's no one right way to do this AI and deep work thing.
Right.
It's about finding what works for you, for your own skills, and for the work that you love doing.
Exactly. It's about using AI to empower yourself, to unlock your full potential, and create work that is both meaningful and impactful.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to come up for air.
Yes.
We've covered so much, from the technical stuff about AI to the big philosophical questions about a world where machines can think.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
But the conversation doesn't have to end here. We encourage you to keep exploring, learning, and asking those questions.
The future of work is being shaped right now, and we all have a role to play in making sure it's a future where humans and AI can work together to create a world that's both prosperous and humane.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, keep diving deep.